The negative impact of religion on Africa. Africa, a continent of rich diversity, vibrant culture and a deep-rooted sense of spirituality. Religion, in all its forms, has shaped the lives of millions across the continent. From Christianity and Islam to traditional African beliefs, religion is an integral part of African identity. However, while faith can uplift and inspire, there is another side, a darker reality where religion has hindered progress and development. This is the untold story of the negative impact of religion on Africa. Stifling economic development, churches and mosques filled with congregants. People giving offerings, religious leaders collecting donations. In contrast, crumbling infrastructure, underfunded schools and overcrowded hospitals are found everywhere in the society. Every Sunday, millions gather to worship. Churches and mosques are filled with believers who give generously. But too often, this financial support does not translate into development. Instead of investing in economic progress, vast sums of money are concentrated in religious institutions. In some cases, these funds are used to build lavish places of worship or finance extravagant lifestyles of religious leaders, while communities remain impoverished. In many parts of Africa, religion has become a major economic force, but it's a force that benefits a few at the top. The money that could be invested in education, healthcare, and infrastructure is often diverted to religious causes that don't necessarily promote societal growth. Perpetuating ignorance and superstition, religious leaders preaching, congregants listening intently. People seeking medical help for serious conditions, but instead, visiting faith healers and spiritualists. In a world where science and technology drive progress, many Africans are still held back by religious dogma and superstition. Faith healing, spiritual cures and the rejection of modern medicine are all too common. This has led to preventable deaths, as people turn to religious leaders for miracles rather than doctors for treatment. Clip of a religious service. By the grace of God, you are healed. No need for hospitals, no need for medicine. This reliance on faith over science has a profound effect. People with treatable conditions often die because they believe prayer alone can cure them. This is not just a failure of healthcare systems but a failure of religious institutions that discourage medical treatment, fueling conflict and division. Clashes between religious groups, scenes of political instability, extremist groups rising in parts of Africa. Religion in Africa is not just a matter of personal faith, it has often been weaponized, fueling conflicts and division. From the religious violence in northern Nigeria to the rise of extremist groups like Boko Haram and Al-Shabaab, religion has been used to justify violence and terror. Religion, when manipulated, can become a tool for violence. In Africa, we've seen how religious differences are exploited by politicians and extremists to divide people, incite hatred and even justify war. Undermining education and critical thinking. Children in religious schools learning religious texts, in contrast with children in poorly funded public schools. Churches or mosques speaking against scientific theories or secular education. While education is key to development, in many parts of Africa, religious institutions prioritize theological instruction over critical thinking, science and innovation. The result? Generations of young people are left without the tools they need to contribute to Africa's development. We don't need worldly knowledge. All you need is found in this holy book. Religious education is often the only education that many children in rural Africa receive. While spiritual knowledge is important, it cannot replace a comprehensive education that includes science, technology and critical thinking skills. Inhibiting social progress and human rights. Protests for women's rights, LGBTQ+ rights, contrasted with footage of religious leaders condemning these movements. Religion, in its more conservative forms, often opposes social progress. Across Africa, religious doctrines have been used to justify the subjugation of women, deny LGBTQ+ rights, and maintain patriarchal systems of power. This has hampered efforts to promote equality and human rights on the continent. Marriage is between a man and a woman's place is in the home. The conservative interpretation of religious texts often opposes movements for gender equality and sexual rights. This has slowed down progress on key social issues in many African countries, where religious beliefs are deeply entrenched in the law. Conclusion. The way forward. Images of African youth, innovation hubs, modern cities and classrooms filled with engaged students. Religion has undeniably shaped the cultural and spiritual landscape of Africa, but its influence has not always been positive. For Africa to move forward, there needs to be a balance between faith and development, between religious belief and progress. Education, healthcare and economic investment must take precedence over dogma, and religious leaders must work alongside governments to promote peace, equality and growth. Final quote, on screen, Africa's future lies not in the past, but in its potential to embrace progress while honoring its rich spiritual heritage. The time has come for Africa to transcend the limitations imposed by rigid religious practices and embrace a future of innovation, progress and prosperity for all. Hopeful faces, bustling cities and communities working together toward a brighter future.